All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will call to order with Pledge Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we please have the roll call?
Chad Linder,
Here.
Bill Niemeyer,
Here.
Ethan Maple,
Here.
Ryan Hartley,
Here.
and Terry's absent.
She sends her regrets. We're going to move Brent Easton up a little bit so you can share your report with us, and whether they want you or not, get home to your family.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Bob, good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Long time no see, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And one of the things that's really true in county government is that of all the things that we spend money on as a community, nothing probably takes up collectively as much money as what your justice system does. And one of the things that's been very frustrating to me for a very long time is when you really figure the amount of money that gets spent between the courts, probation department, the community corrections department, the sheriff's department, the prosecutor's office, the public defender's office, it's the jail, the prosecutor's office buildings, the building public defender, et cetera, a lot of money. And collectively, I think that there's really been a bad job of explaining to people, what does this money buy you, the people who live in this county? And so, this year we finally were able to be staffed in such a way that we finally had a full staff, Bob, which was nice to have that. That really helped us. And as a result of that, we produced a report to show more or less what the justice system produced over the last 12 months. And so that's really what we tried to do, to give you an idea as to what it is that all that time and money creates, and then to give you an idea as to how it happens and what happens. I think it's something that's important. I really believe that, sunlight's the best disinfectant. And if people have an idea what's going on, then they can ask questions and we can find ways to make things better. If you don't know what's going on, how are we supposed to make anything better to begin with? And so I really felt, blessed that we had enough staffing to be able to provide things and get this information to you. We are the fastest growing county in the state of Indiana. I guess that maybe now we're second, but we were the fastest in 2024. There were some studies. I think a couple of things of note to begin with is our state organization, Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council, recommends that our office should in fact have 12 deputy prosecutors for a population of our size. We have currently 9, which is the most we've ever had, but that's still 25% short of where it would be that they would recommend that we be. They would also recommend we have some more administrative staff and investigator. That probably would make Bob's job a little bit easier if we had another investigator down there from time to time. But, and I suppose you can see some of that in the overtime stats, and you can see that the work is still being done, even though we're a little bit short. A primary thing that I think people, may not necessarily always know is how many cases we have. Last year we filed 1,877 separate criminal cause numbers. Now, some of those cause numbers, and again, I'll pick on Bob a little bit, is what we'll do is we'll consolidate things. And so we had a case last year, actually a guy committed 100 separate crimes. And if we wanted to file that as 100 separate cases because they were on different days, we could have done so. And then we, just from doing that, we would have had close to 2,000. We filed it just one because then instead of having 100 separate trials, we could have one trial. He ultimately ended up with a sentence of about 30 years in prison on that. Additionally, I think it's important for the public to know percentage of the overall cases that we get and we file. Overall for the county, the filing percentage overall from our referrals from law enforcement was north of 90%, about 91.2 roughly. Separately, I do have law enforcement meetings on an annual, on a trimester basis. And I always make sure that I don't show the other departments what the other departments' filing stats are, because I don't want them to get on each other. But really and truly, New Palestine Police Force always right to the top. I think you guys are always like 98, 99%. And so really and truly, the stuff that comes from Bob and his people, you guys help bring up the average, so we appreciate it. In addition to that, we do file search warrants, about one a day, so 343 separate search warrants in support of investigations. I want to say we did collect just south of about $4 million in child support. We do have a child support division. We had more than 1,100 cases in the child support division. We are trying to cross the threshold of 4 million in collections this upcoming year. Something I think that Chad probably hears quite a lot about is how busy we are over at Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center. I know a lot of people here have been very, generous professionally, and the town of Palestine has been generous with Zoe's Place. That is such an integral part of our ability to really have a full net to look out to protect, children that are abused and neglected. There's so many of those children that maybe we would not be able to have services for, or to look at prosecution of people that are offenders if we did not have that resource to really help us, to put the children in an environment where they feel safe, they feel comfortable, and they're willing to share things that, may be very personal or embarrassing. And so as a result of that, and as a result of law enforcement becoming more comfortable with Zoe's Place, we did have an increase of 90% of our interviews, which in simple math means we had 197 separate interviews of children that were potentially victims of abuse or neglect last year. That comes out to be just almost one, just about every single day of the year. And so with those interviews, and I think, Bill, that, you might know this, is that we have a deputy prosecutor from the prosecutor's office go and sit in another room and watch the interview in real time with law enforcement and somebody from the child services, and oftentimes somebody that's a victim advocate, so we can try to, help, if there's something needed immediately, but also make legal judgments on the kind of evidence that may be needed to see if they're in fact, okay, something sounds like it could be something here. Here are some questions we'd like to know more about, because we want to leave every stone, we want to turn every stone we can to see that the future and the youth of our community are protected. The bad side is that when we're over there at Zoe's Place doing those things, again, as Chad knows, the work at the office doesn't stop. And so sometimes then we might have that, and then we get a search warrant to help you guys out, and then we have a trial at the same time. So we are stretched pretty thin, but we've got great people to make it. A couple problem-solving courts that we have, I think, that have value. What I always tell people is that the optimal outcome for any given case is the one that makes it least likely that this offender is going to come back in the system. And unfortunately, there's some of those people, that the best outcome is for them to be in jail for a very long time, because if they're out, we can have no faith that they will follow the law. There's other people that, maybe they have a substance abuse problem, or they've had mental health challenges that for whatever reason, they've never been treated appropriately or had the appropriate medication. And once those people are able to achieve sobriety and able to achieve balance in their lives, well, then they are no longer consumers of tax dollars, but they can work. They can oftentimes reunite with their children, and they become people that are, useful in society. And so, we think those programs have real value. I'm not going to outline each and every one of these, but there's a number of other things that we do that are outside of just filing cases and going to court. I kind of categorize them more or less, kind of in a support role to ensure that the system itself, works well. Finally, I guess two more things that I want to move through is that we really try very hard to keep law enforcement informed with case law through a online database that we have, and to keep them informed with up-to-date forms for search warrants or for other practical tips that they can access from the laptops they have in their cars. We brought that online about 5 years ago. I think that there is a fair amount of utility with that. We had some trouble at the first trying to make sure everybody could access it, because we had trouble with which browser was going to work. But eventually we got that sorted out, and I think that really makes the process of seeking search warrants and stuff, if you're out there on the road, much more efficient. We do provide case law updates there, and we try to provide a lot of training. The law, is always changing. Every legislative session, the law changes. Every time the Supreme Court of Indiana rules, the Court of Appeals rules, it could change kind of what we're looking at. And so we did a lot of training for law enforcement in the year 2024. We're very fortunate to have people from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, IMPD, U.S., I guess it'd be the State Attorney General's Office, as well as the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, all present in different trainings with the Hancock County Prosecutor's Office to make sure there was a lot of information available for officers when they were in need of those hours, and to help expand their knowledge to help us serve the public and to work, as partners. I'm really a big believer that partners and partnerships are what make things work. If you think you know everything by yourself, you're probably not going to be very successful. And if you can't work with anybody, you're probably not going to be successful. And I really feel blessed that we had so many partners come out and present with us and help to provide training for all of us last year. There are some individual trials of note I put back there at the back, which I think provide a little bit of a guide as to some things that what really happens in the courtroom. I want to say last year, mathematically, including all trials, we had 121 separate trials of all types. 113 of those returned a guilty verdicts, which my math right is 93%, which is okay. We always want to find ways to get better, but if you win every single case you try, well, then maybe you're not pushing hard. And so we felt pretty good about that. We've got a really good, hardworking group. We do the very best we can. And again, my original goal was to provide this information because of all the things county government spends money on. Collectively, the thing which you're going to spend the most money on is going to be your justice system. And this is the best snapshot at this time that I'm happy to answer questions or concerns or do anything I can to provide more information as you wish. That was a lot really quick.
Well done.
Thank you,
Impressive.
Brent.
Thank you so much for the work of prosecutor's office. We know we're lucky to have you and your team. Anything from the council?
Well, I'll make a comment. You know, my son, who has lived a very sheltered life in a good way, he interned with the prosecutor's office last summer. And he came home and he said, "Dad, I know what pure evil looks like."
You want to talk about me?
He was absolutely nobody in the staff, but he worked very closely with the chief deputy prosecutor, Amy Herring, on a major felony case. And, you know, he stayed to the very end and went through trial. And when he came home, he said, this gentleman was pure evil. And he had no idea that that existed. And what he took away from that internship, there's no way he could have ever learned in a classroom. So I want to thank you personally for that experience and opportunity. And it absolutely made a life-changing impact on Tommy, and I appreciate it. Because what you do, people have no idea some of the things that you deal with.
Well, thanks. That's very generous. I'm really blessed to have Ms. Herring as part of our team. I've expressed to other people, I know I've expressed this to Bob, and I think probably you too, Bill, is obvious. You know, I have children of my own. I have 4 children. Of all the people that I've known in my career, and I've been a lawyer now for a long time, is the one person that I would choose to prosecute a case if one of my children was a victim without hesitation would be Amy Herring. And that's not meant to be a slight to anyone else. It's just meant to be the highest compliment I could probably give to anybody for her ability and passion for the courtroom. I remember that case very specifically. The defendant was Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hunt ended up, I think, with 35 years on one case. And Mr. Hunt, and if I may, while he was in jail for allegedly, well, for raping somebody, then there was no contact order issued, and he thought so much of the judge's order that he then proceeded to break it, I don't know, 10, 15 times within the first week that he was incarcerated. So he was in jail, and he continued to commit crimes while he was in jail. And so what we ended up doing was we worked with the sheriff, and we got those calls recorded, and so then we filed other crimes on him while he was in jail. And then on the eve, that was such an interesting trial, is on the eve of the trial, Amy is getting ready to prosecute him for a level 1 rape offense, which is going to be a substantial amount of time in prison if we get him. And the day of trial, she's getting ready to begin. We find out that our victim has flown to Dubai and is not there and available. And I remember Mr. Hunt in court that day kind of looked like the cat that ate the canary, like he had his ace in the hole that somehow he was going to be able to squeeze through this and yet again manipulate his way out of things, because his history was such that he had done that a number of times in the past in other jurisdictions. And really, fearlessly and at great, I guess, cost of her own time, Ms. Herring and our team was fortunate enough to be able to proceed anyway without the victim. There was that position, there were some legal things that she could do, and we were able to find a conviction of Mr. Hunt on that. And then after he got convicted, he wanted us to dismiss the other case for the stuff he did while he's in jail. Well, we didn't do that. And so then we convicted him on all those counts. And so now he's gone for, hopefully, forever. The other thing about that bill is the first day he showed up, I remember we took him to Amy's office and we knew we were getting ready on that. And it was pretty serious stuff. And after he left, Amy and I said, you know, I hope he comes back tomorrow. And he showed up the next day, and we're really, really grateful for having had his help.
Thank you.
I really do value transparency. You know, we do want to do everything we can to make sure people are informed. I appreciate the floor tonight to do so. If at any point in time, any of you at any time have questions of what's happening, I really do want to share it the best I can. There's a lot of things that happen. It proceeds at a rapid pace. I understand that, you know, there may be circumstances where maybe the nature of something is, if it's ongoing, I can't say very much. But just generally speaking about operations or what happens or how it happens or why generally things happen, I very much want to be transparent and open with the people of this community that we serve. So I appreciate the time. If there's any more questions, I'll do my very best to answer.
I just have one, Brent. This report that you put together
Yes.
just for our community is accessible on your website at all?
That's a great question to answer. Not right now.
Not yet.
We're doing a changeover on the website.
Okay.
I am hopeful to have it be so.
Okay.
If you want to share it, feel free. That's
Okay.
a public document. There's not anything in there that's confidential in any way. So if you want to scan it, email it to me, whatever, fine. We just haven't got it together to get it posted.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good for you. And now we're on the clock. Moving on to claims, looking for approval for our APVs number 27564 through 27613.
I'll make a motion to approve APVs 27564 through 27613 as presented in our backup materials.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Chad, for motion, Bill for seconding. Any questions, changes, adjustments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. Moving on to the adoptions of minutes, looking for a motion to adopt our town council minutes from March 5th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to adopt the town council minutes for March 5th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ryan and Bill. Any other conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We do create space for public comments limited to 3 minutes on any items on the agenda. And so if you have any things you'd like to say about any of the items that we plan on talking about tonight, we give you the space to do that prior to us talking about it. So it would be your opportunity now. Not seeing anyone. Thank you. For the last few weeks or few meetings, we've been having our reptile discussion. I feel like we need to change the name of that to some extent. But evaluating the ordinance associated with reptiles as pets and how that comes about and the way we want to kind of keep our community safe and process through it. Chief, I thank you for sending some of your thoughts on that ordinance. I know that that's been distributed. Bill said he was going to take that and kind of make some adjustments. Hopefully we'll have something that we can maybe read through next meeting and move forward. But I think our previous conversations have gotten us kind of on the same page. Anything else related to that you all want to go over?
I think we're real close.
Yeah. All right. Wonderful. We will not be approving the comprehensive plan. Just in the midst of some miscommunication and oversight, we did not have a public hearing prior to approving the comprehensive plan. And so tentatively, that public hearing will be slated for May 7th at 6 o'clock. And then we will have a council meeting following that. Between now and then, we will do everything we can to make sure that comprehensive plan is accessible on our website for those of you who would like to review it. I'll work with Sydney and Jenny to make sure that we can try to get that available and accessible. The last thing we want you to do is come to a public hearing without any information about what we're hearing in public. So we'll make sure we do that. Moving on to continued council conversations. This is a part of the agenda in which we just create space for conversations, not necessarily an ordinance, resolution, or item in front of us, just conversation about what may be going on, some things that we've come across in town. The agenda item is related to a gentleman who swung by last week and had a quick conversation with me about their coalition against bigger trucks, just recognizing there's always a conversation of bigger, longer, heavier trucks on our roadways, and they want to encourage us to not support that type of legislation. And I would actually be one that would probably say I don't want to see heavier and bigger trucks on US 52 and coming through town. But wanted to put that out there just to let you all know they've contacted us and had a quick conversation. Any curiosities about that or thoughts related to it? Steve, any input from you? I know that.
No, I would think that the only people that this would benefit would be places like Amazon and Walmart, so that they could cram more merchandise onto bigger trucks and increase their profits. As far as counties, towns, the interstate, bridges throughout the state, I think it's bad all the way around. They're trying to add the limit now, I think, is 80,000 pounds. We're trying to go from 80,000 to, I've heard anywhere from 91 to 97,000 pounds, which you're talking about 5.5 to 8.5 tons per truck. They're also going to add 5 feet per trailer, so they're at 10 feet to the length of they're going from I think 28 foot to 33 foot, and I just can't imagine what that would do to truck aprons, roundabouts, at intersections. They do get off interstates and for their fuel and food and everything, and just the right of ways at intersections, and I would be completely 100% against it. So,
Appreciate that.
Don't let them use our bridge.
Stay off our bridge. Absolutely. Anything else related to that?
Absolutely not.
Just so you all know, Jim and Yvonne and I met with Envoy to start conversations related to that owner's rep contract, and they should have something to us prior to our next meeting, with the intent to have some time to read through it, have our legal team read through it as well, so that maybe we can look at it at the second meeting in April. So be looking for that. Anything else? Just general conversation that you all want to bring up?
I working on the employee reviews and contacted some peer of mine who is from HR department I've worked with before, and figured why not get their opinion on it. So sent them what Chief sent out. So just looking over it and see if there's anything we can do to improve it and send something out.
Great. Thank you.
One thing I'd mention, because if we put a link to the comprehensive plan on our website, it is going to, at first blush, be very daunting, because it will tell you it's over 200 pages.
284.
But what it won't tell you, and I'd like to say up front, is there is a complete copy of the county comprehensive plan that is 100 to 150 pages of it. So our comprehensive plan isn't nearly as daunting as it appears. So if you look at the comprehensive plan, it's what, 80 pages?
It's mostly
70 pages. But yeah, the attachments are what make it hundreds of pages. So I just wanted to point that out. It's really not that intimidating of a document.
Good. Thank you.
And I don't want to jump the gun on the Envoy contract, but some of their dollar amounts, I think we need to remind them that we're a municipality and we want the municipal rate.
Fair enough.
Yeah, speaking of that, I will share this with you guys. I gave Ethan a copy earlier. I actually compared or made a spreadsheet. Chad, I know you'll love this. I'm going to pass that down to Chad. Bill, I believe you have
I
one.
have one.
Ethan, you have one. I have one for Terry. It's basically just a breakdown of costs. And I have one for you too, Zach. It's basically a breakdown of costs from what Ted sent us to review.
This is their hourly rates.
This is their hourly rates compared to a similar contract. The similar contract was for a construction manager, but they are the same job titles in there. So there is some rate comparisons in there for you guys to review, and what they have as proposed rate costs versus a comparable contract. So
I appreciate that. And
it's a starting point for contract negotiations.
I do think some of those look a little interesting comparatively to the county. So it'd be good to have that conversation with them. The conversation that we had, Jim, and feel free to share, is simply that their proposal, we do not anticipate starting with the level of their proposal. We kind of made that clear to them as, we don't see the need right now to hit that $8,000 mark.
Right.
And want to kind of start at a more reasonable level as we progress through this project to see where it lands. And so I think they're going to incorporate that in their new contract, as well as if-then language, so that we can have an out. I know, Bill, you talked about being able to both sides
And
walk away.
it's in there.
Yeah.
I did see that, but the one that absolutely jumped off the page to me was they have scheduled legal at the rate of $545 an hour. I'll volunteer for that job because I think that's a little excessive.
I'll be your assistant.
I can
As a volunteer?
I can afford 3 assistants.
Good.
So I think it's a starting point, and it is negotiation. So,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to, give you guys something to compare a previous contract that was done in the past year and a half.
It's a 61% increase on the first line item. So
Yeah, I did the math and I did the increases, but I did them at home because I ran out of time. So
you do them on your typewriter.
I'm not gonna tell you,
He writes as well as his writing.
but and I didn't make multiple copies of it. But you got this one, so
Thank you.
In other words, you're not going to email it to us.
negative. I didn't save it either.
All right.
My typewriter does not
Doesn't say.
email or save.
All right. Fair enough. I appreciate it. I would also just mention that there is a good chance that our county commissioners in some way, shape, or form may ask to be a part of our meetings related to animal control in the county. So we will see when that conversation happens. But
Should be on the agenda soon.
it'll be on the agenda soon, I imagine. Chief, I expect you to be here.
Yeah, I already had a conversation with him this morning.
Good. Good. Legal updates?
Nothing to provide for that.
Okay. Moving on to department reports. Jim?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Steve?
Wow.
Well, I know that by now this is old news, but did get the grant from Community Crossings. Received close to $240,000 in funds. They're kind of fast tracking it this year. They want all the funds obligated by the end of the state fiscal year, which is the end of June. So they would like for towns and municipalities to have, they would like for them to have, I don't know if it's gonna happen with every town and municipality, but they would like for everybody to have a contract or under contract by the end of April.
Wow.
I don't know if that's gonna happen here because I've been in contact with Strand, who's doing the plans for us, and I'm not gonna get the plans back until April 4th. Then I have to advertise twice, a week apart, and then I can't have the bid opening till like a week or 10 days after the last advertisement. So
They're wanting to get those funds allocated.
So we're probably looking at May 7th.
I don't know where the county's at on that, but yeah.
Wow.
We're moving.
So, but got the money and things roll along. So
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
we did get signs up on 52.
Okay. Good.
I think we're missing one that I have to. It's one short that I got to replace.
Chief?
Nothing major. March 26th, next Wednesday, we're having a countywide training with Hancock County, us, whoever's going to be available. It's going to be K-9 SWAT, drone team. It's going to be part of Sugar Creek Fire Department's going to be involved. We're going to do a practice run on a high felony escape, and we're going to be using like between 2 South and 3 South on Jacoby Road. So we're going to have individuals that are going to be in the woods. We're going to be going after them, looking for them, training for this, doing incident command. So it's kind of the big deal that we hope we never have to use, but we're going to train for it on Wednesday. So if people see a lot of squad cars that day, and we'll post something probably too on our page just to make sure everybody knows it's going on. We did this last year as well, so it's good training.
Good.
Keeps everybody on their toes.
All right.
Not going to mess up the deer hunting over there at all, will
I
it?
hope Actually, he's going to be part of it.
Yeah, but good.
That's all.
Okay. Do y'all have anything?
Nope, just that Yvonne and Jenny won trivia last night.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Way to represent the town.
That's true. All right, moving on to public comments. 5 minutes on any topic. If anybody would have anything they'd like to say, or come on down. It's good to see y'all again. I'm sure Saturday was awesome.
Gary's still out from that.
That's right.
We just wanted to stop in and say thank you for letting us do what has not been allowed to do in the past. Everything went good. We hope.
The only bad part was the karaoke was terrible. They allowed them to do karaoke. I don't think the neighbors cared about too much. Got some, actually, some of the neighbors, and they came over, but, and then we left the tent out too long, so the trash didn't get picked up, so Mark was out there earlier inside the dumpster, pushing it down so we could get more trash in there. We ended up getting a shuttle service, that sat out there all night long to take people, home, so that was kind of nice. That was the last minute thing. And we did last call at 10 o'clock. People couldn't understand that because it was the weekend. But after a day of, kind of drinking all day, that was what was best. So everybody cleared out. The props came over and said, "What happened?" 10 o'clock, everybody just, cleared out. So, I think it was a very successful day. That was our actual, I think our biggest day that we've had since we took over. That was our
Good.
biggest day. So we appreciate you guys letting us, or approving it, so, we can kind of show our neighbors and the community that we're trying to be responsible. So.
It was successful.
0
Very
complaints.
Outstanding. I was there. And
One complaint.
nobody made any complaints about me. So moving on. Oh, well.
I wanted to go, but I couldn't find a parking spot.
But it is parking out here.
It was full.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was.
I mean, it's what it's called.
I mean, there was people parked everywhere. It's great. I mean, it was awesome. Well done. And yeah, thank you guys very much. Yeah.
We had,
One person got in their hand.
yeah, there wasn't any, and that's abnormal, which again, on the weekends, which we don't have a lot of that now, but for us to close down early, I think that helped out a lot. Not saying that. So, but for St. Patty's, there's always something happening. Yeah, I think it went very well. Again, it was our biggest sales day, and so we could have been happier. So we did.
Good.
Well, congratulations, and thanks again for being a part of the community. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, and everything that you have done to have good relationships with your neighbors, because that is so night and day different than prior operations at the pub. So everybody appreciates it. And the fact that, Eric Kropp came and spoke 100% in favor of anything that you want to do, because he's convinced he's the closest person to you, and he had some very, very bad experiences historically. So it just says volumes about what you're doing, and just keep up the good work, and we appreciate it.
Do that either.
But we did appreciate it. And I know some of the years have been very good, but appreciate it. We kind of rallied behind us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Do you all have anything to say? All right. Move on to council comments. Brian?
I want to wish the boys basketball team good luck.
Heck yeah.
Congratulations on making it as far as they have, and it's the first time in school history
Yeah. One regional.
they won regional. So mad props to them. It's seen some highlight reels of Julius Gizzy, and wish I could play like that. But it's fun to watch. It's real fun to watch. But that's all I have.
Thank you. We will be doing a council chat. Our next council chat will be April 4th that morning. We're going to do it at Tia's, so I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer now or there you go. Bill's going to volunteer. Are you going to step in? Are you checking your calendar?
Let me look.
Oh.
Oh, no, that's a Friday.
It's always a Friday.
I know. I thought we talked about possibly doing it on a weekend or something coming up. So you threw a date out there. I was looking to see if maybe it was a
sorry.
Saturday. So
I'm busy, and as soon as you said Tia's, I didn't want Bill to try to fight me over some biscuits and gravy. So.
No, I'll volunteer if no one else wants.
I'm telling you, their BLTs are amazing. But yeah, I can't do Friday, unfortunately.
If you're doing council chat anywhere that serves food, I'll volunteer.
Duly noted. Duly noted. All right. Well, that'll be Friday, April 4th at Tia's. Other than that, just a general wishing everybody in the school district a happy spring break and a safe spring break. Chad?
Yeah, nothing. I went to the St. Patty's Day celebration at the pub. It was well run. Thank you guys for doing that. Other than that, I've got nothing to add.
Bill?
This morning, I attended the Hancock Economic Development Council meeting, and there was a presentation by a representative from the Indiana Workforce Development Department, and he, through many slides, pretty much summarized the whole presentation by noting that Hancock County, unlike 85 out of 92 counties in the state of Indiana, we are experiencing continued growth. And that means 85 out of 92 counties are not. They are decreasing in population and also economic revenue and activity. So just a good place to be.
Good. Thank you for that update. Terry's now with us.
Not here.
I didn't mean it so ominous. Come on.
Just sounded terrible. Sorry.
Terry's not here, so she doesn't get anything to say.
Yeah. it's
Why
much better.
don't you just make a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.